Hey guys, I'm just finishing my fucking bagel.
I'm sure what they want to hear is you chewing.
Scarfing down a delicious blueberry bagel.
It doesn't matter what it is. They don't want to hear you chewing. I don't want to hear you chewing, and I'm here in the room with you.
I don't care.
Well, I threatened to go not fill up our coffee, but we both know that would be a lie.
Oh yeah, I'm in. It's like a Waffle House waitress with less tits and more teeth. That's the one.
You know, I'm not actually terribly impressed with the Black Rifle.
Neither am I.
It's okay, but...
I'll give you ASMR, Steve. Wrong button. All right. So, real quick, I see some commentary about the Black Rifle. And yes, there is some Black Rifle coffee in my kitchen right now. And what happened was, look, my folks are pretty smart, and they're definitely on point for the most part. And just, they're not following all the minutia. They were in Texas a week or so ago, and somebody gave them a bag of Black Rifle coffee, and they gave it to me. And you're right. I've actually never bought any Black Rifle coffee. I've had 2 bags in this house. The first one they had was before they shit all over the Rittenhouse thing, and completely lost any chance of getting my business ever again. But before they made that little, messaging abortion, there was somebody at the VA who was just handing out bags of Black Rifle. Clearly a Black Rifle employee. At the VA, and they were just handing out bags of coffee, which was cool. I appreciate that. That's and a reasonably intelligent maneuver. Stryker says Black Rifle is the fruitcake of coffee. I'll give you that one, baby.
early in the show for top comment, but that's funny. That's funny.
Well played, my man. Well played. And it's all right. It's coffee.
To be fair,
and in this house, we don't throw away coffee unless it's really offensive. Like this one time, we got an absolute metric ass ton of the Seattle's Best one pot packages, and you had to use 3 of them to make 1 pot of coffee. And they weren't great to begin with, and we had so much of it that a year later, I just threw the rest of it away.
That's Seattle's Best stuff. I sincerely believe the only way it tastes good is if you've got one of those like coffee makers that they have at restaurants that blasts the hot water through it as fast as possible.
Either that or something that looks like it's straight out of Frankenstein's lab. And you have to watch the coffee walk across the kitchen. And it takes 45 hours for it to drip 1 drop at a time.
It's alive. Okay. But it tastes all right, at least. So
it's all right. It's not bad at all. But
it's
yeah,
better than not coffee.
But yeah, the whole Black Rifle thing. The CEO and CFO of Black Rifle Coffee went on and did an interview during the Rittenhouse thing where they decried that there were a bunch of people who were protesting in favor of Rittenhouse wearing Black Rifle Coffee shirts because, you know, veterans drink Black Rifle, and
Or
people
did.
who have well, yeah, did. Veterans used to be a large part of Black Rifle's business, and turns out there's a lot of overlap between people who stand up and close with and engage and deploy to destroy the enemies of the United States of America in close combat by force of arms and will, and, you know, people who were pro the Constitution and liberty and think that a man has a right to self-defense, completely separate from whether or not you have a right to keep and bear arms. And
It shall not be infringed. That's something we'll have
yeah,
to
the
go
Black
back
Rifle guys came out and said, "Oh yeah, they're a bunch of evil white supremacists, and we do not support them, and we wish they would take off our clothes." And the rest of us said, "Yeah, you're not getting any of my money."
Jeff Goldblum's silent fart says that Black Rifle Coffee blocked me on Twitter.
You know,
Jeff,
I keep trying.
we'll never block you. I promise.
try so hard. I can't get myself blocked by anybody on Twitter, and I mean, I try. You should see some of the things I've
Politicians
said.
can't block you,
George Takei could, and he hasn't.
which is weird.
Black Rifle could, and they didn't. I've been rough on them. And Rebel Jack, as far as Twitter goes, you should be on Twitter, if for no other reason than to follow Adam Baldwin, Elon Musk,
Cat turd.
Cat Turd, Juanita Broderick,
Scott Adams.
Scott Adams, and what's his name? The original Hercules,
Kevin Sorbo.
Kevin Sorbo.
So one other thing real quick.
Those people are worth Twitter.
Sean Stryker says bang energy drinks greater than coffee.
No,
I've tried.
No.
Hold on. I've tried Bang energy drinks, and they're actually fairly tasty. And there's one called Unicorn. I didn't know that's what a unicorn was supposed to taste like, but if that's if I ever see one, I'm shooting it, bringing it over here, throwing it on your dad's fire pit. Like that's happening.
You've never eaten a raw unicorn in the wild?
But no, dude, nothing's greater than coffee.
There are a lot more unicorns in Afghanistan than there are here because they don't have as many daughters. Same thing in China. You've seen how many stuffed unicorns we have upstairs. Those things are hard to hunt down.
So, WTF, CNN.
So, yeah. So today's topic, we're talking about OAN on WTF CNN.
It's a bit of both.
Because poor OAN has been a target of the ravenous enemy horde that is the anonymous masked left.
Basically since day one.
You know what? I love the masks now. Because I see masks in public and I know. I don't have to ask myself, you don't matter. You're not intelligent enough for me to have a conversation with. You cannot be engaged with on an honest level because you're not even a person. You're just a representative. You're a non-person character. You're a non-player character that repeats an easy script and doesn't have thoughts. So you can't be engaged with.
Yeah, that I support
It's not just that
thing.
you're not worth engaging with. It's that you as a person can't be engaged with. I could be talking to literally any other masked idiot, and it would be the exact same human being. You're a fucking stamp.
It's like going to a different town in an RPG, like literally, like NPCs. Like when you go to the town of Melmond, they're all going to give you clues about the vampire, and that's it, right? Because that's all they're programmed to talk about. And I still personally get upset about the masks. Like I'm to the point now where I really want to start telling these people, okay, because they obviously are who they are. Like I even know the thing to say them that would be, would really short circuit their brain. Would be, hey, the CDC says you don't have to wear that. I mean, as long as you're vaxxed, and I'm gonna assume you're vaxxed, right?
Well, the CDC says you don't need to wear them even if you're not vaxxed now.
Well, but I'm just look. What I said
But
was,
this show is not about masks. This show is about OAN, CNN.
look, you brought it up, so I was just saying, like it's. I'm just saying that, like at that point, that would be the thing that would break their brain.
Yeah, Jeff, I generally only wear masks when I intend to rob a bank or a liquor store.
And that only happens, a couple of times a month, maybe a little more frequently over the holidays.
Or if I just don't want to put out the blackout paint before I start kicking doors. So, sometimes shit happens.
Anyhow, but you love the masks because they help you identify the stupid.
Right. Exactly. They're as good as a swastika for identifying the enemy. It's an armband.
I see you wearing a mask, and I'm like,
muzzle.
okay, minus 10 IQ. All right, check.
And when everybody was wearing the masks and demanding the masks, they aggravated me so much because they messed with my hearing aids.
And glasses.
And my glasses. I've got enough shit on my ears. Listen, I don't need it. Anyway, so OAN, DirecTV via AT&T, because AT&T owns 70% of DirecTV, and hold that thought, we'll get to the other piece of the ownership thing in a minute.
Okay.
Has decided not to not renew. And a couple of insurance guys here, we know what that means. They've decided to not renew OAN on DirecTV. Of course, it's got nothing to do with Biden explicitly demanding that OAN be censored. Nothing to do at all. Unrelated. Now, we've talked about that a bit on this show before with things like Twitter and YouTube. Hi, Twitter. We're live on Twitter right now. Hey, hi, YouTube. We're live on YouTube right now. Sean, you're getting ahead of me. Just
damn it, Sean.
Relax.
That was the point. You could have let us get there, but thanks.
And the NSA does not own AT&T. That would be like me saying I own me. In a very philosophical, libertarian sense of the word, then I am my own property. But the NSA is AT&T. Don't pretend like they're separate entities. Anyway, damn.
Well, okay, look. Let's bring
You
it.
derailed my previous train of thought. I forgot what I was going for.
Well, here, let me help. All right.
We're on all those platforms. We talked about it before. If, as a private platform, you take direction from a government entity like the president or any other elected official and commit an action which, if taken by a government entity, would qualify as a violation of civil liberties, U.S. Code Section 18,
right.
Section 242, right? Deprivation of civil liberties under color of law. That is a crime. You are conducting activity on behalf of the government, ergo, as an agent of the government, depriving a citizen or a citizens organization or group, or a group of citizens, of civil liberties under color of law. That's a crime. That's a serious crime whose penalties include up to and including death as an execution, which should be done with a toaster and a bedsheet because it's cheaper than hanging.
So, okay, here's what's funny. You want to talk about like some real irony here, okay? And I can even compare this to the whole Juicy Smollett thing, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, all right. Jussie did what he did because of what he thought the caricature of the right was actually reality. Somehow in his mind, I'm actually coming to the point to where I really feel pity for the man. Like, how broken is his brain?
Right,
okay?
Because he clearly has a severe mental deficiency.
Like, there's narcissism, and then there's narcissism. Holy shit. Like, well, what happened to you, buddy? Like, show me on the doll.
Oh, yeah. Ladies, find you a man that loves you like Juicy Smollett loves him some Juicy Smollett.
Yeah, right. Right, show me on the doll where the evil MAGA supporter touched you, you know?
Yeah, and actually, probably not, because apparently the whole Juicy Smollett and his and the Ogandu brothers, or whatever their name is, we're all about masturbating with each other in a bathhouse, and that's
just weird.
weird.
I mean, look, you do you. Very libertarian, but that's...
There's gay, and then there's whatever that is.
Fair enough. Okay. But the thing is it's the perception that the left has of the right. Like, you'll see people say things on social media, and the accusations that they level at the right. It's not just that they call us racists or bigots or homophobes. Where, by and large, the vast majority of us are not. We are very much live and let live, okay? If you want to go do a thing with your life, as long as it doesn't negatively affect my life, by all means, go do it. OAN, from the beginning, had this perception that it was basically Alex Jones with a TV camera on steroids, okay? And putting aside the fact that Alex Jones keeps proving himself to be right on long enough timelines, like... But putting aside that, OAN had this perception as like somehow it was just this bastion where guys like Chris and I could go and we could watch OAN and, oh man, you know, it's just like we get our fix and, oh, they're going to lie to us in just the right way and get, you know, just all the confirmation bias and, man, just pure dopamine hits just from watching this news channel. Except, I've literally never watched OAN ever. Like, ever. Now, I've watched things from OAN after they got circulated on the various social medias, on the internet.com, as it were, okay? But, like, seriously, the last time I watched any 24-hour news was election coverage for 2020. And that was just because, you know, 24-hour news for election coverage. And at that point, it could have been, it didn't matter. It could have been CNN. It could have been PMSNBC. It could have been Fox News. Like, I gave up on cable news some time ago because Fox News is not your friend, right? And I assume, personally, as soon as OAN launched, even if it's my friend right now, 10 years it won't be. Might as well go ahead and jump ship now.
Right.
I'd rather have my Tim Pool and my Styx Hexenhammer and guys like us that are just going to be honest. They're going to wear that bias right there on your sleeve. Objectivism, that's a great ideal, but none of us can truly practice it because at some point in time, we all have to decide what's important to us personally. And if it doesn't pass through that filter, it's not coming out of this mouth and onto that microphone. So this whole perception that we got to get rid of OAN because it fed the January 6th insurrection. What do you want to bet that, I don't know, of everybody that's been arrested for January 6th or everybody that attended the January 6th protest rally, whatever, what do you want to bet that tops, 25% of them watch OAN? Tops.
That's probably a good estimate. But of course, OAN is being reported as, like, for example, from CNN Business, DirecTV to sever ties with OAN and drop the right-wing conspiracy channel later this year. Okay, CNN, you calling somebody a conspiracy channel, that's a little like the kettle calling the pot a child molester.
Oh, I see. You had a much more clever and punny joke there. That's like the kettle calling the pot the black hole.
Oh.
See? I can't believe you missed it. You had Don Lemon's face right
there. Right there. Don Lemon, right there. Yeah, so CNN, who brought you things like
Russia
stole the 2016 election.
And Russia. Just Russia. Just say the word Russia.
And they reported every year while Donald Trump was in office that Russia was going to invade the Ukraine because of Donald Trump being friendly to Russia, to Putin. Oh, Biden's the president now and everything's going to shit. How's that, CNN? What happened? CNN, who ran screaming to the microphone with Michael Avenatti, you know, the creepy porn lawyer, to report that Avenatti had 4 more complainants that said that Donald Trump sexually assaulted them. Turned out that one, whoo! That was a 4chan troll. Several dudes got together and got their stripper girlfriends to call Michael Avenatti on burner phones and
fantastic.
tell him that they had experiences. Oh no, it wasn't with Trump. It was with the judge,
Kavanaugh.
It was they had four more Kavanaugh accusers, and now Avenatti's in jail for something else. These are the same people that ran screaming through the streets about Stormy Daniels, and they printed the retraction when Stormy came out and said, "No, I'm sorry, I lied about everything." And I still maintain that I think that Donald probably stooped her. I mean, the man's got a type, and she was kind of like poured into that mold, but she issued a retraction, and CNN had to issue one, and it was buried, 10 pages back under the fold.
Well, the whole thing about the Mueller report, like, you want to talk about, like, conspiracy theory 101, let's just hop up everybody, get them all emotional and angry. One of the things that I like to follow, somebody asked the question if, who would go to jail first, Trump or Hillary? And somebody legitimately replied with authority, well, Hillary's the most investigated person in modern politics. Let's see if Trump could go through that same kind of scrutiny. And it kind of broke my brain a little bit. And I'm like, there was the Mueller report, asshole. Like, this really is a perception problem. Like, this person legitimately did not understand. It was very clear that, like, that whole Mueller report thing just, like, exited their brain. Like, didn't occur to them as a consideration. And so, again, we go back to the CNN versus OAN thing. Like, CNN, not only do they peddle some bizarre conspiracy things, like Russia, like, helping Trump steal the election. Okay.
Child grooming is good. Like, that's the clear message we're getting from CNN right now.
I don't know that I'd go that far.
I would.
Well, okay.
I just did.
Yeah, I see that, obviously.
I mean,
But
how many pedophiles do you have to lose to the law before we suspect you have a problem?
Look, I was just about to say something that was actually going to accidentally back up your point, and I didn't even realize I was going there. But look, watch this. I was even going to point out, not only does CNN have this habit of, like, not reporting the obvious news, like I referenced the interview Anderson Cooper had with Barack Obama when the Jeremiah Wright stuff first broke. And I swear, I wish we could find the unedited of that. Like, because you could see it on Anderson Cooper's face. Like, God, I just don't fucking believe you, but we're on the same team. So I'm not going to question you, okay? Well, I'm not going to question you further. But not only do you not report the actual news, and then you give us all the conspiracy theory stuff, like, breathlessly. Oh, my God, the Russia probe is happening, and Mueller is happening. Not only do you give us all that, but...
The walls are closing in. The walls are closing in. The walls are closing in. Like,
but
you can see the memo.
But CNN has a type that it seems to hire. Like, not, and look, there's some bizarreness with Don Lemon, and then the Cuomo brother, and then let's see, the producer for the Cuomo brother, and Tubin.
Yeah, basically, when they say diversity, what they mean is perversion.
And then Tubin, and then, but like...
sexual deviance.
But, like, remember, like, Elliot Spitzer got thrown out of office because he was basically just, like, not randomly, like, routinely plowing hookers at the governor's mansion in New York, okay? Like, just unabashedly, okay? Got thrown out of office, and then, like, a week later had a job at CNN. You know? Like, CNN has a type. And for some reason, they're cool.
And for some reason, they look like the product of soy generations.
They also look like the kind of people...
Don Lemon's starting to look rough. You know, they say black don't crack. It might have missed him.
And look, and to be fair, the dude buddy on the right looks like somebody I would not want coaching my kid's baseball team.
Or driving a van. Unless it had lots of windows.
Right. But anyhow, so just to transition and move forward, Sean Stryker kind of already jumped way ahead of us. Yes, AT&T owns CNN.
Yeah, funny story. AT&T, which owns CNN, and what a headline. And this is from October of last year, right? 21? October of last year. AT&T, which owns CNN, helped build far-right One American News. See, they'll throw that in there. It's kind of like when you see a headline, if you don't see the race of the shooter in the headline, well, you automatically know it wasn't a white guy,
right?
Because what
otherwise
they
would have mentioned it,
right? And basically, let me just throw you that I got a little on this kick and wanted to talk about the censorship thing. You look at Twitter, which is, let's be real, an absolute trash pile, just a dumpster fire of leftism. They're celebrating the hashtag bye OAN is trending. They're like, Alicia Smith, Trump's statement on Time Warner terminating OAN from broadcast. Seems like a fourth grader wrote it. I still can't get over how few words he knows. A private company makes a decision without the government forcing them to do otherwise, and Trump is melting down over it. Yet, Biden asked them to do it last week. And, okay, so, without the government forcing them to do it.
See, but look at the next one.
They're on the same team.
Look at the next one. This is the perception of reality that these people have.
Ban the word gay, but stand up for Putin TV. We haven't talked about the "Don't Say Gay" bill, as the left likes to call it.
Even though that's not what the bill says.
And, you know, we don't want you teaching any sexuality stuff at all to kids between 3 and 8, is what the bill says. And the rebuttal is, oh, well, we're not teaching that at those ages anyway. Oh.
Then what's the
problem?
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, there you go. There's your perception right there. And for that matter...
Yeah, and let's get rid of Fox News, too, right? And, hey, AT&T, it's time to do something for our country and dump OAN from your services, right? Oh, look. He's got
a Ukraine flag.
He's a communist, right?
Does he even know he's a communist? Oh, self-employed... gay.
Very concerned for our democracy. Yeah, he knows he's a communist. M4A is probably some kind of map thing. So that's no do Newsmax and Fox News yet. So the leftists they're actively celebrating this.
Even though they don't fuel guys like us. Like, at all. If I end up hearing something from Sean Hannity or Tucker Carlson, it's because it made it to the internet.com. Right?
Yeah.
It's not because I watched Fox News. All right.
I'm not a big fan of Fox News. They're not
your friend.
They're way too left wing for my taste. Let's be clear. On the political spectrum, places like CNN are not left wing. Fox News is radical left. CNN and its ilk are instruments of the enemies of the United States of America. The Democrat Party may have been radical left-wing, a radical left-wing American political organization at some point. They are not that anymore. They are actively in the control of the enemies of the United States of America, most notably China. I hadn't thought about talking about this morning, and it's about time to wrap up. But if you've seen the news that Russia has sanctioned Biden, Hunter, Pelosi, Hillary Clinton, and a few others. And,
I wonder if that stings worse than the sanctions on them.
Well, and it probably doesn't affect. It probably doesn't affect these people at all, really. But I saw good old what's his face, George Takei say, did you notice that Russia only sanctioned a bunch of Democrats, not one Republican? Tells you all you need to know. Yeah,
it does. Fuckstick.
It tells you that there were apparently no Republicans engaged in enough corrupt business dealings in Ukraine to catch the Kremlin's attention.
Oh my. Again,
like two could play at that game. You know, obviously that means that Russia's friendly to the Republicans. Well, maybe it means that Russia's in a war with the Ukraine, which has clearly been Joe Biden, Hunter Biden, Nancy Pelosi, and Hillary Clinton's second favorite money laundering organization for the last 20, 30, maybe 40 years. I say second because you got to remember there's China and of course Saudi Arabia and Planned Parenthood. And
one of these things will take Joe Biden's phone call.
Is it Planned Parenthood?
That was the one. That was the one.
Joe Biden calls Saudi Arabia and they're like, no, I'm good. Calls Planned Parenthood and they say, do you have another one?
Man, and again,
just pull him around back, Mr. Biden.
And again, going back to that perception thing, like, how broken is George Takei's brain? We're talking about a guy that was interred by a progressive Democrat. Like, his family went to a concentration camp because of FDR. And he legit thinks he's on the right side of things. Why? Because he's gay and Republicans are mean to the gays, apparently.
Are they?
Or just a thought. Just a thought. Maybe what Republicans want is the thing that we've been saying for decades that we want. We just don't want you to shove certain things in our children's faces.
Or butts.
Well, that's... Boy, I just kind of teed up that joke, didn't I?
Yeah.
I meant like... I meant like having certain things get shoved in their faces in pop culture.
I mean, I'd be happy if I could send my children to a public school and expect that they won't get shoved to the ground and urinated on in front of a large gathering of children. Or at least expect that if something like that were to happen, that there would be consequences for the offender.
I don't think that's quite the same thing as because we moved way past the normalization of homosexuality. We're now clearly in a state of fetishization of homosexuality. Like, I
think we're well beyond that. We're into active grooming. We're into active grooming. Your children are they're in danger. If your children are in a public school, they are in actual active, very serious danger.
Yeah, we just, look, in all seriousness, we just don't want you to tell our 8-year-olds about pansexuality and why they themselves might actually be pansexual. It's not that we have a problem with you being gay. Really, okay? So, and just
don't try to tell my children to mutilate themselves.
And look, I think this point just needs to be hammered forever. Was the first mainstream presidential candidate that was totally cool with gay marriage a Republican or a Democrat?
Well, it wasn't Joe Biden, was it?
It wasn't Barack Obama, was it?
Sure as hell wasn't. When did the parties flip? Donald Trump was the first president who never took a public stance on being against gay marriage.
Just saying.
It's not complicated.
Just saying.
Not the direction I expected this show to go, but
whatever. AT&T for some reason.
And I'll
yeah.
No, I need to get this in before we button it up.
Let's do it.
So what we've been talking about up to now is what it looks like, what censorship looks like from the left. Let me show you what it looks like when the left says things that the right doesn't like. Netflix has been indicted by a Texas grand jury over the Cuties film. Nothing's happened yet. It's just an initial step in the right direction. But for a Texas grand jury to indict Netflix, and I'm not sure exactly how that works, but we'll be following it with interest to see how it develops. The defense, the very vocal defense of the Cuties film by Netflix and the lefties was, oh, well, this movie's supposed to be, it's critical of this kind of child grooming. It's critical of the activities that are portrayed on the... Okay. There are things that art needs to do that can get uncomfortable. There are messages that art needs to explore. Let's take the exact same idea that young girls are being hypersexualized by a ravenous and predatory industry and say put it in a graphic novel. Now you have depicted children engaged in these activities. Cuties, instead, had very graphic scenes of little girls dancing in very explicit costumes and doing very sexually explicit dance moves on a stage in front of an audience. You don't get that without training little girls, without grooming little girls to engage in this highly hypersexualized, vulgar activity, putting them in front of a camera, and then filming them engaged in the activity. You don't get to call that a critique, because that's not a critique. That's just you doing the thing. You monsters.
Wow,
That's a random. Oh, of course, it's over before I could switch back to it. That was a big ass snake.
yeah, that was the video clip kept rolling. You know,
Huge 12-foot snake.
hey,
Yes, it was.
you know what? You know what though? When all this is over, CNN will give these people a job.
Oh yeah, absolutely. They just lost several of their professional high-level child traffickers.
I mean, it's like a resume enhancement for them. But we need to get rid of OAN, a channel that
Is it an
literally
enhancement?
for
Or
CNN
is it a
it is.
requirement?
I mean, I think it's one of those like pedantic semantic
Does
differences.
it go under skills or education?
Yes.
So yeah, that was a big ass snake.
But yeah, no, like, but sure, guys, go after OAN, the channel that I don't know that I personally know anybody that's ever watched it.
I'm sure I've watched clips from OAN. It's not something I follow seriously.
No, but I mean actually actively
But this
watched
is definitely
OAN.
one of those. When they came for the Jews, I said nothing because I wasn't a Jew. Here they come, guys. They've been coming. They've been coming.
The first move really was against Alex Jones, and you know that had the opposite effect because that was the thing that actually because I did not take Alex Jones terribly seriously.
Until the enemy got concerned about him.
And then the enemy stripped him off all the platforms, and I was like, well, hold on now. Wait a minute. Wait, like, it's the thing that made me like Sarah Palin
Well,
so
Alex
much.
Jones was the test case. And, like, you know, once we figured out that he was right about the frogs, in a very technical way.
Yeah.
Oh, you know, he overblows it. He oversells it. But...
Does it remind you of anybody?
Right. He was actually right about the frogs. And then Epstein didn't kill himself.
He's
And
right about that.
suddenly tinfoil hats were in fashion, man. So that's all we got today. I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up because if I don't go ahead and wrap it up, we'll go for another half hour, and I may have shit to do. So y'all be safe out there. We'll see you tomorrow.
Wait.
Real quick, Jeff Goldblum says, how is Alex Jones saying that Sandy Hook was hoaxed different from LeBron saying Kyle was faking on the stand during the trial? There's actually a significant difference there, and it's an important distinction. Alex Jones was sent reports by several people, and he was duped into believing that. Alex Jones's deposition is actually publicly available, and you can go watch it where he talks about he talks a lot about how that happened, and seems clearly, you know, embarrassed about being wrong on that one. So
Whereas LeBron is just
people,
a Chinese
a bunch of
fuckstick.
people sent him documents and all this stuff and said, "Hey, this was a hoax. This didn't happen. This was bullshit. This was." All this, and then he made public apologies about it. LeBron didn't get suckered by a bunch of people sending him false data.
No.
LeBron just jumped on the closest microphone that he could stick his dick in and started screaming and never apologized for LeBron didn't make a mistake. LeBron went out of his way to lie, to cause someone harm.
Now, at this point, wherever LeBron is concerned, I actually assume active China influence.
Yes.
And I am suggesting that China would have an interest in telling LeBron, hey, see how that 17-year-old kid actually made a difference? He just needed a ball sack and a rifle?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. China has a clear interest in disarming American citizens through legal action.
We don't want you have ball sack or rifle.
Yeah. No. So, Biscuits asks where we're... Sorry, Biscuits. Okay, so I didn't address that. I should have addressed that at the top of the show, and I'll go ahead and do that, and then we'll lock it up. So Monday...
Crashed a drone.
I crashed a drone. I didn't exactly crash the drone. I had a critical battery failure while it was flying, and it fell into a tree. I think the drone's okay, but it's still stuck at the top of the tree. Yesterday, I left early to go to where the drone is sitting in the top of the tree to meet a tree cutter who was supposed to be coming out with a bucket truck to get the drone out of the tree. And I got there after the hour drive to get there and meet the guy on time, and they called me and said, yeah, we can't do it because we've got too much other stuff going on. I was like, but I drove here. You sons of bitches. Demography now says use a fishing rod. Yeah, that may be the play. We're going to go back out there this morning, I think, and try a couple of things. That may be the play, Demography, but it's like 80 feet or 60 or 70 feet up. It's way the hell up there. I tried some things. They didn't work yet. So we're going to go try some more things. And hopefully we get her back. But yeah, that's what happened. And we will see you tomorrow. Like, for real this time. We're done.